to Madam Postmaster, fellow Postmates, and our guests. We all want what's best for our kids, right? Well, last week I went to my 4-year-old son's first soccer practice of the season, and it took all I had in me to bite my tongue and not suggest that our coach do things a little bit differently. After all, he's a parent like a lot of us in this room, and he volunteered his time to coach these kids. So when I went home, my husband couldn't make the practice. When I went home, I had my conversation with my husband went something like this. George, that coach needs some help, and if nobody else is going to volunteer, I will. George, who knows my weaknesses best, simply says, Jen, your plate is a bit too full. I have 3 words for you. Lower the bar. This is my problem. I'm a working mom who wants the best for my kids, who loves my job. I want to go save the world. I want to travel the world, open my own business, and I struggle with how I'm going to achieve all of this. Excuse me. And on top of that, I am a recovering perfectionist. So I have a lot of anxiety in my life and high expectations. And then I was raised Catholic, so I have guilt all the time. Whether I'm at work struggling with deadlines with my kids kind of in the back of my mind, or I'm at home playing with the kids, and I'm thinking, am I ever going to get these deadlines at work? The guilt and the high expectations are always there. But I'm learning how to cope, thanks to my husband and other working parents out there, and several magazines that I love to read. And I would like to share 4 tips on how to cope with the whole work-family struggle balance. The first one being focus on you first. It goes along with the saying that a happier parent is a happier household. And if you don't take this time to focus on what makes you happy or what can scratch that itch you have in life, then it's harder to focus on the task at hand. So if I don't have my weekly run, or not weekly run, my daily run, or a weekly yoga class, you don't want to mess with me. I am a mess. I use that time to go through the issues I have with myself, with the world, and I am a much happier person afterwards. So focus on yourself first. The second one, schedule your priorities. Some of you may have heard me say this before. I'm a big believer in Steve Covey's Habits of Success, those books. And he says that a lot of us tend to prioritize our schedules, especially type A, very busy people. And he says instead to schedule your priorities, which means you have to know what your priorities are and what your goals are in life. So for me, if it doesn't relate to my health or my personal well-being, growth, or my family, I'm learning to say no and to let things go. I'm learning to lower the bar. The third thing, be grateful for what is in your life. Don't suffer from that grass is always greener syndrome. I have a lot of working mother friends, and I have a lot of stay-at-home mother friends. And the stay-at-home mother friends are always saying, oh, you guys have it so good. You get to drink your cup of coffee in front of the computer and have some peace at your office without kids yanking on your hair. But then the working mothers are always jealous of the stay-at-home mothers, saying, you have it so good, you get to hold your kids all day, and you have lunch and dinner thinking it's this perfect world. They're always butting heads. They're always thinking the grass is always greener. Well, be grateful for what you do have in your life. In these difficult economic times, I'm very grateful that I am able to provide for my family right now. So I try to keep that in mind when I'm having those jealous thoughts. The 4th tip is the most important for me, is to be in the moment. Whether you're at work or you're with your family, whether it's good or bad, whether your boss just piled on an extra assignment with a tight deadline, or you're at home with the kids and they're fighting yet again, just take a deep breath, calm your mind, and everything else will come much easier. Another reason to focus on a moment is that we all know our kids, it only takes a moment for them to get bigger. So all those hugs that I get around my neck right now, or the grabbing of the hands, it's not going to come as easily when they're teens. So I take it in right now when I can, because I know it's going to change tomorrow. So with these 4 tips in mind, also realize this, that your children are probably dealing with you being at work better than you are, dealing with the whole separation. I've heard this from several magazines and friends too. There are a couple days a week where I go to Lansing and I don't see my kids in the morning. And those are the easier days. But those days where I do, and Antonio's begging me not to go to work, and Alejandro has tears streaming down his face as I walk out the door, that guilt is just in my stomach. But you can't let that fool you, because then I go and pick them up from daycare, and they're crying because they don't want to come home with me. So they're obviously dealing with the separation better than I am. So next time you're feeling out of balance with your work and family life, remember those 4 tips: to focus on yourself first, to schedule your priorities, to be grateful for what you have in your life, and to be in the moment. And remember, for those of us who are working parents, we're here to set a good example for our kids. I worked hard and got into a good school, and I was lucky enough to find a fulfilling job. And hopefully one day, I'll teach my kids to be independent free thinkers who can help make a difference in this world. So 3 simple words: lower that bar. Thank you.